first one is unexplained footsteps. In 2012, while sitting in the living room with a sibling, we heard footsteps coming from upstairs. We turned off the television and approached the bottom of the stairs to listen closely. As the sound of the footsteps walked back and forth, we became frightened, and I reached for the telephone in the middle of the living room to call 911. In a moment of panic, I yelled that I was calling 911, and without realizing it, I actually dialed the number. After one ring, I realized I did not want to make the call, so I hung up. The footsteps continued, becoming louder and more distinct, as if someone was actually walking down the stairs. We were frozen, standing and looking towards the stairs, waiting for someone to appear. However, the footsteps seemed to pass right by us and continue into the room in front of us. We were too scared to move and waited for something to happen. Suddenly, the sound stopped, and we heard loud scratching sounds coming from the basement ceiling right under our feet, as if something was being torn apart and shredded. At that moment, the phone rang with a private number, and I answered. It was the police department, asking why I'd called 911. I lied. I said it was the baby. They said they had sent a cop as precaution, but no one ever showed up. Our parents arrived home a short while later, and we did not tell them about the incident until a couple of years later. To this day, we have never been able to explain what happened that day. Oh, that's very creepy. Like, there's nothing creepier than footsteps to me. Like, I have dealt with that in my old bedroom in my parents' house. Like the sound of bare feet on carpet, that would used to terrify me. So yeah, footsteps, not the one. This next one is always trust your gut. My husband always says that. Me and my two sisters always go on walks at night because we find it calming, and it's mostly when our parents are hanging out with neighbours and getting drunk. There was this one time we asked our mom, who happened to be drunk, if we could go take a walk to our community pool and back. Keep in mind, it was around 11 o'clock at the time, but being dumb went away. When we were walking to the pool, me and one of my sisters realized how creepy it was, so I mentioned the weird feeling I had that we should turn back immediately. So we did. We had a choice to go the longer way, which was a street that goes up a big hill, or the shortcut, which is a small hill slightly slanted. My sister suggested we go up the big hill, so we get to walk a little longer, and I agreed until I looked up at the big hill and saw a tall, large figure standing in the dark street with only the brightness of a streetlight at least 10 feet from the figure. Then I got that feeling that we should turn back again. I freaked out and shouted, "No, we need to go the other way now." My sisters were both confused on why I suddenly wanted to go the other way, so I told them what I saw, and they happened to see the slightest bit of the figure. They both freaked themselves out about being in the back rooms. When I glanced at the figure, it's gone. My sisters look immediately, don't see it either. That's when we truly get freaked out and run home, the whole way back without stopping. We made it home safely, and all agreed never to go on night walks again. Oh, that one's a little creepy. Yeah, I love a good nighttime walk, but not when I see tall, creepy, weird things under the streetlight. Like, that's not the one. Ghost story from when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I woke up in the middle of the night one night. I get up and I hear a strange ooh coming from my parents' old living room. I walked out to investigate, and I saw a black oval with a glowing white eyes on my old TV stand on the windowsill. The eyes looked like the headlights you see in the car. It vibrated and stared at me, continuing to go ooh. I was frozen in place, where it felt like I was being held in place. I stood there staring at it for a few minutes and broke free from the trance I was in and went back to sleep. I woke up again a while later at dawn, and I walked out there again to see if I could as if they were fading away as the sun was rising or something. I could never figure out what happened that night. I've told many people this story, and funny enough, some think I was imagining stuff. Maybe I was, I don't know. Some believe it was a ghost. Who knows? Okay, this next one doesn't have a title, so we'll just get straight into it. I used to work nights and would nap during the day while my kids were at school. During one nap, I was super anxious about not waking up in time. You see, time had been slipping away from me, and I'd been late the day before. I was exhausted and could barely keep my eyes open. My partner was away with work, and my alarms were set. I was worried about not sleeping. Sleeping, break-ins, you name it, my mind thought it. What I wasn't worried about was what would happen while I sleep. I should have. I slept with the curtains open so the sleep wouldn't win and I'd wake up to the burning sunlight. Fully clothed and half aware, laying on my back, I could see my bedroom door slightly ajar, enough so I could see something or someone if it/they decided to intrude. I was woken to a scraping sound. My eyes rolled up towards the light of the door, only it was blocked by some dark object. My heart hammers in my chest, and I began to sweat. I could make out claws curling their way through the gap in the door. Claws that were long and thin like black blades. The dark shadow in the door that blocked all the sunlight grew larger as I noticed it. Its eyes glowed, and I swear I saw it smile razor-sharp teeth. Its legs interspersed, long spindly, but the same shape as the blade-like fingers. I was sweating profusely now. I also needed the bathroom, and I hoped to God that this thing didn't jump on me, or my bowels would release on me without permission. That's funny. It pulled itself through the gap, never actually moving the door. Its body was a mass of black shadow, only the arms and legs had their own shape. It crawled towards me, getting even closer. My gaze flickered towards the door and back to the day creature. It followed my gaze and smiled at me. I couldn't move. I was stuck. My body wouldn't listen. It wasn't just fear paralyzing me. I jumped up and scrambled out of bed, sweating and breathing heavy, tears rolling down my cheeks. Looking around, I realized nothing was there. My sleep paralysis demon had come and gone. This is repetitive. The same thing comes for me every time I'm in this internal prison that is on my own making. Sleep paralysis is not fun. Oh my gosh, like sleep paralysis genuinely terrifies me. Like people that go through this, oh my gosh, my hat's off to you because I don't know how you do it. This next one is stuffed animal moving. So, I was putting the baby to bed. As I was rocking him to sleep, there was a stuffed animal on the floor that I could see in the corner of my eye. At first, I paid no mind to it, as it was a normal stuffed animal just lying on the floor. The baby was about to fall asleep, and suddenly the damn thing moved, and the baby, as if he noticed, started crying, started screaming as if something was truly scaring him. He was so peaceful and almost asleep, but as soon as that stuffed animal, no batteries, nothing, just a normal plushie, moved, he was scared. I don't know what he was sensing or what was really going on, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about this. It's happened several times before that he suddenly is woken up screaming as if he was completely terrified. I used to brush it off as him having nightmares and comforting him until he falls asleep again. But now, I don't know anymore. There was no open windows or doors, so I can't even blame the wind, though I kind of wished it was. I have no logical explanation for this, and I am happy to hear your opinions. Yeah, that's creepy. Me and my husband always joke, like, if anything moves, like when we have kids, if anything like that happens, it's gone. We're moving the house, we're burning it down. Like, literally. The woman at the top of the stairs. Oh my was 7 or 8 years old and lived in a house with just me and my mum. It was a fairly big house with 4 bedrooms, and my room was at the end of the landing and my mum's was on the other end. If you were to stand by my bedroom door, you would look down the hallway and see my mum's bedroom door, as well as the top of the stairs. Anyway, my 2 slightly older cousins had come over for a sleepover, and we had spent the whole evening and night playing around and doing childish things, as you do. My mum told us it was time for bed, and they went to sleep in the spare room, and I went to my room. When I was younger, I had really bad trouble sleeping, and would often wake up around 2 or 3 a.m. and walk down the hall and go to my mum's bed and sleep there. So it comes to 3 a.m. and I wake up. I get out of bed and open my door as quiet as I could not to wake anyone up. As I rub my eyes and look down the hall, I see a floating dress with tears in it that looked exactly what you would expect a wedding dress that had been worn by someone living in a forest or the streets. It had tears in it and was a bit muddy at the bottom. It was floating almost like it was moving through water. There was a woman wearing this torn and muddy wedding dress walking down the stairs. I remember freezing and slowly walking back, closing the door a bit and getting in bed. I put my pillows over my head and closed my eyes and pretended I was asleep. I can't remember how much longer I was awake before falling back asleep, but the first thing I did when I woke up was tell my mum and my cousins. Obviously, as a little kid, my mum didn't believe me, and my cousins thought I was trying to scare them. I'm 20 years old now, moved house a long time ago. I remember this woman walking down the stairs so clearly I could draw you a picture. I tell this story to people to this day, and obviously no one believes me, but I swear on everything that I saw something that night. There was something in my house. I told my dad this story when I was 11, and he asked me to draw a picture of it, and I'm sure he still has it somewhere. Yeah, that's very creepy. Like, no one wants to see that. No child wants to see that, so yeah, I would be freaked out. And why is it that, like, family members always think you're, like, lying or trying to freak them out, or they're like, you're just dreaming, or something like that? I hate that stuff, because that happened to me. The figure in my house. It happened, I think, 2 months ago now, but speaking about it still freaks me out, especially if I'm in my house. It's like he's listening. A few days a week, I have to get my brother and myself up for school because both my parents work in the early morning. One morning, I was coming back upstairs after giving my brother a little wake-up reminder. I was heading back to my parents' room to lay down. We have 2 dogs, so I lay with them in their room on these mornings. But as I was walking down the hallway, I felt this very strong sense of unease. I've always had incredibly strong intuition, and so I always trust that feeling. I felt like I shouldn't look up too much, so I looked at the bottom of the door frame. I saw 2 most